there's some movies that are immediately accepted into the pantheon of classics, and in the horror genre, that particular set of movies is pretty much set in stone, and woe unto he who should besmirch one of their names. One such movie is Poltergeist, 1982.
Yeah.
Directed by Tobe Hooper. Nay,
Tobe.
Apparently, as everyone suspected all along, Steven Spielberg actually did the directing. This was verified recently by John Leonetti, the man behind the magic of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, cool.
But he was the director of photography on that, and he basically said, look, man, Tobe Hooper was always high. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was probably, he's basically just a glorified AD. And Spielberg pretty much did everything. I hadn't seen this movie in about 15 years or so. And I decided to show it to you because you haven't seen it at all, ever. So it's due time you watched one movie that is considered a classic. Now, I have to ask you the question, and here the drum roll begins, because arrows might be flying your way if you say the wrong thing. Not from me, mind you. From the populace that has chosen to ensconce this into the Mount Olympus of horror. What is your takeaway upon watching Poltergeist?
It was alright.
Look, I'm going to go even one step further and say Poltergeist kind of fucking sucks. Alright? Now, before you flame me alive,
okay,
I don't hate Poltergeist. You know this. I like Poltergeist. I like part of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I'll say that. But we're going to get into it. Yes, that's right. I am going against the tide, as we are wont to do sometimes here. Fuck it, man. If you can't say what you believe, then what the fuck you exist for? We're here to say what we believe, and I happen to believe Poltergeist kind of fucking licks a little. Maybe even a lot.
a little.
All right? So let's get into the nitty gritty here. The pros and the cons. Before that, though, if you haven't seen Poltergeist 1982, which we have to say now because it was a remake, which now I kind of want to see because, what if it's good? I mean, I don't know. Never know, right? But anyway, it's a basic haunt type of movie,
coming in, ghouls.
Family moves into an idyllic suburban neighborhood, enter spooks because, lo and behold, they're atop some sort of graveyard or something. Hijinks ensue, basically.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to start with the cons, because I have many. They're big ones. I shouldn't say I have many. They're big ones. Not every horror movie is supposed to be scary, but you can tell by the movie what the intent is. And Poltergeist intended to be scary.
Yeah.
Now, scary is subjective. Don't get me wrong. What's scary to you might not be scary to me. I just think it fails at drumming up any sense of dread.
Yeah.
It even fails at communicating that to me. Or I should say, I know what it's trying to do. It just fails at it. It doesn't have to scare me. I have to just be like, oh, I could see that scaring someone. And I'm like, whoop. half the time, I'm like, come on. And you know what it really has to do with? It's not even the tension building or nothing like that. It's that a lot of the time, whatever tension they do build or atmosphere or suspense or whatever, to whatever degree it does so, it always manages to deflate it with something. Namely, my second complaint, my second con, the fucking music in this is fucking shit.
I thought, look,
Jerry Goldsmith is a master. All right, fine, but this music fucking sucks my ass for this type of movie.
I thought it was me.
No, it sucks.
But yeah, this was like freaking stinky, like bad. It's like trying to be like cheery for some reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Shut
the fuck up, man. We're trying to get spooked here.
There's like a ghoul walking around. You hear.
Yeah, horrid music choices for a movie that's supposed to be.
And then it ends with like a Forrest Gumpy music.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Okay.
Just an obnoxious score, man. That constant, like, at the beginning, there's a lot of setups to what will eventually crop up later, if not sooner at that point. Haunt style, So they do, and it's adequately done. It's just The music.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? We do not need that type of music in this movie. What the shit?
See, I was actually kind of enjoying the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not loving, but being like, it's all right. But the music was stanky from
It's
the beginning.
terrible,
I was
man.
like, it can't be me, right? It's freaking crappy.
It's shitty music.
It's like too nice.
Yeah, there's no suspense in it. There's no atmosphere to it.
Like a kid's
Silence would have benefited this movie a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of the music. So I'm just saying, yeah. But anyway, what's one of your cons?
Well, one of my cons is the shitty ass Ghostbusters.
Oh, you mean the parapsychologist team?
Yeah. Ray Parker Jr. is one of them. It looks like him, exactly like him. And they're pretty useless. There is that one guy that goes, oh!
Yeah,
when he's scared, though.
The white parapsychologist guy basically orgasming when he's scared.
Yeah.
The shit is that sound, man? Laughably bad.
Yeah.
They are pretty fucking useless. And I'm going to bring something up. And again, I already caused controversy in the horror community that watches us.
Yeah.
Not.
One guy who watches
by
horror.
saying that fucking Poltergeist is kind of shitty. But I'm going to cause further controversy by saying that Lee Wannell, writer, sometimes director, most famously known for writing Saw, but he's done tons of other stuff. He basically made a Poltergeist movie. It's the same structure. It has kind of the same characters and situations. Even has the parapsychologist team. One lead female and 2 males. It's basically the same movie. It's called Insidious. And it actually is fucking atmospheric and kind of fucking eerie.
But does it have...
No. So if you want to see a good version of Poltergeist, just see him fucking Insidious. I'm saying it here. Fuck Poltergeist. See this instead. I can already feel the hatred coming through. But anyway, the point is... again, I'm not hating on the movie. But yeah, they were pretty fucking useless. Here's something I do hate in this movie. It is an obnoxiously loud movie. It has no sense of fucking silence. During the scare portions.
That goes along with the music.
Well, hold on. It transcends it.
Yeah.
Because, okay, fine, during the big epic climax, that loudness works. Very well, in fact. But this fucking thing is loud from the get-go. A family's loud. Everything is loud, man. Like, shut the fuck up. The kids are... Well, the little girl's fine. You know, it's a little girl. You can't really expect fucking a masterpiece theater out of her.
Definitely a stinky actor, but...
But, you know, you forgive that because she's a really tiny girl. The kid is fucking obnoxious. The other daughter, the teenage daughter, fucking loud as shit. The interactions are loud and annoying, and then very unrealistic dialogue. Like, shut the fuck up. Who talks like this, man? Fuck up. Get scared or something. 'Cause I'm not buying any of this. Super loud, super annoying, obnoxious sounding movie. Up to a point. Give me another con if you got one.
I thought the little girl kind of sucked acting wise, but like you said, it's a little girl, so you can't really poop on it. I will say that it kind of sets up spooks, like spooky moments, and it sets them up, and then when they do happen, they're really disappointing. Like the clown, sets it up from the beginning, and then when it happens, you're like, oh, that sucked.
It really, I think it has a lot to do with what I'm going to say is another con. And it's that this movie is a victim of showing too much. It just puts everything out there. And it's not very effective half the time. Some of the effects, it's admirable that they use physical effects for the most part. Or interesting visual effects of the time. Obviously, computer-generated imagery was very limited back then. But it feels like if they made this movie, like that team made this movie now, they would just be like, fuck it, let's just make a bunch of CGI shit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the effects at the beginning portion of the movie don't work. They look shitty. I'm sorry, they look fucking ass most of the time. So, and then it exposes them like blatantly half the time. And so when it sets something up at the beginning and then you get the fucking thing, you know, it's hinging a lot on the effect partially. I should say. So in that regards, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's a thing I saw. It's not bad, but it's there. And then on the other end of the spectrum, either by then it's been deflated or something cooler has happened, and you're like, all right, well,
yeah, like by the point the clown comes in, you already saw this like weird big ass head come out of the freaking closet, and this weird ass creature. So if you're the clown, you're like, okay, yeah, I guess.
Here's another fucking con for me, man. There's a lot of humor in this.
Oh yeah, it's kind of stinky about.
I'm fine with humor in horror. Don't get me wrong. There's humor in Insidious from the team, mainly, and it's really in a good horror movie. It's a good way to vent, any tension and stress that you've built up in yourself. In this one, it's like, oh god, man, ooh, that's cringy as fuck.
There were several moments where
it's like aw shucks humor. Like,
yeah.
Aren't we fucking white bread as fuck? Like, god, that's terrible. Sometimes to the point where it made me groan. Like, God, get to the cool part that I like already. You know what I'm saying? And before anybody says it, no, I'm not an impatient man. In fact, one of my favorite horror movies of all time is The Witch, which, let's face it, you need a fucking attention span for. This is like...
You're just digging the hole deeper, by the way. Shitting on Poltergeist and then being like, one of my favorites is The Witch.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to extremes here, you know what I'm saying? But I like
giving ammo here.
I like a splash in your face nonsense movie too, but fuck me, man. Woo! Humor in this stunk.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Like, early on, I was like, man, this humor's stinky.
Yeah, and it's pervasive.
I think the only reason I didn't completely hate it, though at times it came, is because I actually kind of liked Coach.
Craig T. Nelson?
Yeah, I kind of liked him.
Plays the lead here. Probably the only guy that takes the events fucking seriously in this.
And he was
everybody else is like,
he was kind of likable, and I think the wife was decent.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job at the ass end of the movie. Like the last third act.
That's why I said decent, because for a bit.
For the bulk of the movie at the beginning, it's like, why are these people reacting this way to ghosts?
Yeah.
Multiple ghosts to goes. Look it up. It's true.
Yeah.
You got another con there?
I think
Bluto?
Bluto is a pro. I think a lot of it is just that it feels like it's kind of going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it goes somewhere, you're like, okay. It's just kind of unimpressive. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's not well paced.
Yeah.
It's not. They could have cut a lot of stuff out, tightened. This does that. I'm telling you, it's the exact same fucking plot.
And it's funny because it's a pretty short movie, but it doesn't feel short.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel long. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It feels like a weird pace.
Yeah, it's not very well cobbled together. No, in fact, it is cobbled together, like kind of thrown together at times. It feels a little unruly.
Yeah.
At times, yeah. Definitely could use some trimming. I agree with that. Here's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
2 for 1, I'll call it. Don't get me wrong. I like Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't suck Spielberg's dick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody fucking sucking on his little wiener.
Even our boy Spielbergo.
Yeah, Senor Spielbergo was all about the Berg. But even he had to admit that BFG was assholes. You know what I'm saying? I was saying Spielberg's not God, man. Fucking Spielberg kind of sucks sometimes. Yeah. I love Spielberg when he's great. I even love him when he's kind of mediocre, like Ready Player One. I liked a lot of that movie, but let's face it, it's just a visual orgasm. It lacked a lot of the substance that the book did, but it was very fun.
It did make you go, in the room, though.
It was a very fun movie, and yes, it did make me, dude, that guy orgasmed in Poltergeist.
Yeah, it completely destroyed the flow of the movie, which was already destroyed, by the way.
But yeah, getting back to this event, I'm not a Spielberg dick sucker, and now knowing what we know about the production, that he basically directed this, and don't get me wrong, everybody's been suspecting this for years, myself included, because Tobe Hooper was not the greatest director either, but he had a distinctive style.
It feels too neat. The movie,
here
clean.
It has that stink of Spielbergian idyllic suburbia.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like Spielberg. It has the humor of a Spielberg teen movie. It has the family structure, everything is Spielbergian, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that works wonderfully. It just doesn't work with a horror movie that well. It doesn't mesh well. Going hand in hand with that, speaking of dick sucking, Spielberg was sucking Lucas's dick on this movie, man. Lucas, he was shilling for Lucas in this movie.
Big time.
Star Wars shit everywhere. Like, I get it. Star Wars was big with kids. Still is.
But, like, everything was Star Wars.
Come on, man. We got a C-3PO fucking light switch everywhere. Star Wars, everything. Like, shut the fuck up with the Star Wars shit, man. It sucked.
That was stinky.
But anyway, this is just a thing that could have not used that Spielberg stank in that particular sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was a stinker for me. Also got to add to that, there's product placement in this movie. There's product placement in every movie. This movie, woo! That Cheeto bag like this. Oh. Like, hey guys, let me pour my Cheetos out like this.
You know what? I guess that is what it was. You know what? I just took it as like a really shitty transition. Because it was terrible. It was like
you gotta check out my Cheeto bag.
There's a scene, and then it just cuts to a Cheeto bag guy pouring it out like this.
I was like, what is that, man?
And it happens with Lay's too.
Yeah. And there was here's a final one for me. Unless you got another. Well, tell me any other ones you got right now, but a final one for me is the actors are very inconsistent. Some of them are okay, some of them are shitty. Mostly they're all shitty. Craig D. Nelson, and of course the fucking Munchkin chick.
Yeah,
I forgot her name. Zelda Rubinstein is her real name, I think. Whatever the fuck, the short ass chick that comes in and clears the house. She's awesome. But other than that, very inconsistent actors, and some are downright shitty.
Ray Parker Jr.
Hit me with any last cons you got, and then we'll go on to the pros.
No, I think you hit them all.
Okay. We'll go on to the pros. And here, before you lynch me again here, I don't hate Poltergeist. I actually really like Poltergeist. It's just very fucking flawed, and I don't think it deserves to be in any top 10 list, not even top 20 list, not even top 50 list, not even top 100 list of best horror films ever. But I do like it.
Yeah.
I especially like it. The moment Munchkin chick gets there, this movie kicks ass.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? Despite its flaws. Pretty much from that point forward, the movie is kick-ass.
Yeah, because it has an actual structure when she comes in.
Yes.
Because up to that point, you're just kind of like people just hanging around, whispering. There's not much happening. People are like laughing.
And it's not suspenseful.
Yeah, there's like people just
nothing can happen and it can be suspenseful. This is just like, well.
There's like people making jokes and shit while there's ghouls and kids are disappearing. Mm-hmm. There's guys orgasming in the next room. You're just kind of like, this is weird. And then when she comes in, everything has a structure and it's actually kind of cool.
And there's kind of like
cool stuff happens.
There's a sense of credibility when she comes in. She lays down the groundwork for what's going on. It's not just mere ghosts. There's another entity there. Yeah. Something bigger That happens throughout this entire movie with Lin Shaye's character, who's fucking. I'm just saying, dude, this is a better Poltergeist. I'm gonna show it to you tomorrow, and you're gonna be like, "Yep." Even if you don't like it, I'd be shocked if you didn't. But even if you don't like it, you'll be loath to not admit that it's just a better Poltergeist movie. It didn't need all the big special effects either. But anyway, speaking of special effects, another pro for me would be some of the special effects in this are pretty cool, despite some of the ones that suck anus. Some of them are really awesome, man, and it really gels together at the ass end of the movie. That's really what they should have done. They should have restrained it a little more and built up more suspense. Got rid of that shitty score, and then just let it burst out at the end, as it did, and that really works at the end. I love it.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of like the ghouls that come out of the TV and shit. Mm-hmm. But some of the stuff, it looked pretty cool. Like the big head thing was kind of neat. That weird creature that comes out is in the door. Mm-hmm. That looked kind of cool. It just kind of has a weird visual look to the ghosts, I guess. Mm-hmm. The ghouls. Then there's those weird tendrils that come out. There's some neat stuff. There is that one. It's kind of a pro and a con for me. Mm-hmm. The scene with
the infamous guy imagining or being forced to imagine by the spirits that he's tearing off his own face.
It's a cool,
while making the
it's a
sound.
cool looking effect once it starts going. But there's several things that bring it down. Number one, there is a in between shot of a real person and tearing face that just looks like caca. Looks like I made a plastic face of that guy. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
And his eyes are just going like this all over. You're like, what is that? It sucks!
It's not good.
And then he starts tearing his face, and the effect looks like the gore effect looks cool. Except for that you could tell that his hands are going around a body piece.
Yeah,
So his hands...
And not even a good looking body piece. It's like a cylinder.
His arms are all tiny and shit.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it lasts too long. So the headpiece just goes back and you can see like the end. So it's kind of like a mixed bag. The gore effect looks cool.
I think it's the idea. The idea is great. The effect is good to mediocre, depending on what point.
It's just...
So in the end, it's kind of like, damn it, I wish that was good.
Yeah, and that was exactly what I was like, man, I wish they would have just done that. I actually had to vocalize? Yeah, that.
Yeah,
when it
I
happened.
agree with you. And then some effects in this movie are that way, like the tree sequence. The tree sequence at the beginning, it was one of those scenes that was completely ruined by the lack. It built up a nice sense of suspense, but then the fucking music in the background, like, shut the fuck up! Anyway, that could have all been okay if the music was out of there and the highly ineffective tree sequence would have still worked later on, because it's a nice setup. They set it up real nice, but then the effect's not great.
Yeah.
Had that music been good, it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I'm saying? But when you get, like you said earlier, when you get it, you're like,
yeah,
whatever. But yeah, but
Evil Dead did
we're talking pros here, and yes, some of the effects the effects that are good are fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
are awesome to look at the very least. So there's that. Give me a pro, man.
Pro, like I said, I liked Craig T. Nelson in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was kind of likable. Yeah, he's got some cringy like dialogue and stuff, but I think he's the most believable one.
Yeah, really.
And I liked him. He was cool.
You mentioned that he looks like Patrick Wilson sometimes in this movie.
Damn it.
I'm not going to say that Patrick fucking Wilson is the dad in this movie who loses his son to others from beyond that really are not others, but there's one bigger beast taking it. I'm just saying, this is the same movie, only better. Anyway, he does look like Patrick Wilson.
Like a fat one.
He was good, man. He was the only one that was really like emoting normally like someone would be most of the time anyway, if there's some shit was happening.
Yeah, there is no, because that's a negative. Never mind.
Okay, well, you can mention that later. I already said this, so I'll just repeat it real quick. Munchkin Lady was awesome.
Yeah, she was pretty rad.
And as I touched on earlier, the mom even gets good towards that last portion. But there's one scene with Craig T. Nelson, just tying in with this, that's actually, even watching it again, it still chilled me. And it's not even what he's saying or the lines, which are actually kind of cheesy if you think about them. But it's when everything's going to hell in the house, the dead are popping up, everything's going haywire. And the guy that's running this whole community that's being built is looking on, and Craig T. Nelson grabs him, shakes him, and basically tells him, that they just moved the headstones.
Yeah. And
they left the bodies there. And it's just the way he delivers it. The line's actually kind of bad.
And then he just goes like, he just says, "Why'd you do it?" Over and over. Yeah.
And the guy's kind of just like, stunned.
And he's like actually moved by what's going on. Yeah, that was cool.
That, like, it still kind of gave me little goosebumps. And it all had to do with the delivery. Yeah. And that just goes to show what they could have done with the movie if they took some of the dialogue more seriously, some of the situations more seriously, because that was good. I mean, that was a genuinely good moment. It stood out back in the day, and it stood out now. I was like, oh, that's still good. That's really good. So, just thought that was worth mentioning. And yeah, just like I said, from the point old Munchkin Lady comes into the end, this movie is a blast.
I think another pro is the kind of, I guess, rules, or lore for this other place.
Better.
That Munchkin Lady sets up. That was cool.
Yeah. Imagine those rules only magnified.
Yeah, and it's kind of disappointing because you get it so late in the movie.
Yeah.
You're like, I wish this was earlier so they could have kind of explored it a little more.
I agree, man.
But yeah, Munchkin Lady pretty much fixes the movie when she comes in.
She came to save the day, man.
Yeah. Also, another pro, Bluto.
Look, man, there's two characters, super minor characters in this movie that deserve mentioning.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when their house is getting worked on, the pool area mainly, there's these workers that are just standing by.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them is called Bluto. That's right. Somebody dared name somebody Bluto in a movie.
Not a pop.
That fucking sucks. But Bluto himself kind of saves his own skin, ironically, because Bluto's really a scumbag.
Yeah.
First of all, he pops his head into the house and just takes food.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly.
Which happens later on, by the way, with Beans.
That's true. He just takes fucking food.
Yeah.
He's caught. Clearly, he's a thief and a scoundrel. But that's not even the worst thing he does. When the young teenage daughter, as in junior high maybe, early high school, is leaving the house, he's leering at her, catcalling and saying little things to her, obvious sexual advance. The mom is looking on like nothing, like oh that Bluto. Yeah, man, what the fuck?
He's just a casual pedo.
Yeah, Bluto the pedo thief is somehow kind of a cool character. Yeah. And then at the I shouldn't say the ass end, but what is perceived by the audience as should be the end of the movie. There's this guy that's helping them move. Most overzealous mover of all time, dude. He's just coming in and ripping fucking boxes away from people. Moving at like 100 miles per hour.
Craig T is freaking like writing something and just yanks it from him.
Yeah, man. What the fuck's wrong with that guy? Is he on coke?
Yeah.
But that brings me to my last pro in this, and it's a good one. And it's that I love that it does that we've resolved everything. Oh, this might be and it could have been a good ending right there. And then, nope, it's not the ending. It's, it brings it back and it amps it up even higher. Mm. I love that, man. And it works really well here. And it even does it again later. So triple whammy, I guess. Yeah. Any last pros before we go to final thoughts?
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is when it is restraint and doesn't really show shit. Mm-hmm. I think the stronger parts are when Munchkin Lady is just talking about the rules and all that shit, and you don't really see anything. You just see them kind of standing around and reacting. Yeah. Because it lets your imagination go crazy. Mm-hmm. And when it just kind of blows its load early on, you're like, I mean, we already saw, I guess, CG or whatever vortex going around. It's not very cool. But when it's restrained and then blows its load at the end, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, because there's context, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Finally, after all that time. But yeah, anyway, final thoughts on this movie and final score. I do think it's pretty lame for the large part of the beginning towards the middle. But I do like Poltergeist, especially for that ending sequence, or I should say, from a particular moment forward. And I do think it deserves accolades. It's an important film. But when you got a better version of it, I'd just rather watch that. So I'm going to give it a final score of 6.5. Hit me with it.
I thought you were going to go a little lower. Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5. I think you know what, I'll give it a 6 because it was a little disappointing after all this time hearing so much about it. But I did
not for me though.
No, but
never for me.
You bought it and we never even saw it.
Yeah.
But I did watch that shitty TV series and it sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
But anyway, I do think it was a little bit disappointing after all this time, but I did like part of it, and I like Craig T quite a bit, and Bluto, of course.
And Bluto, I mean, get an Academy Award for the man.
But, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but that's about it for me.
So there you have it, folks. We've just besmirched a classic. What say you to that? Tell us what you think about this movie. Hit like, share, subscribe to those notification buttons, because we're up.